Morning here in Tampa today. Got a question online that said, so did you get to 50% net by firing everyone whose pie chart you didn't like? My old friend Craig. It's an interesting question because it sparks a whole bunch of thoughts that I thought I would share this morning. And of course not. The goal is not to fire people or anything like that. You don't get to net profit and build a sustainable business by, cutting your staff just in half willy-nilly. It's all about the processes in the business, right? It's about the things that people are doing with their time that just don't compute to actual output. So if you thought about it from a pie chart perspective, it's not a matter of eliminating people in the organization necessarily. It's about making throughput faster. So it's all these people working, but it's how much speed are they achieving, right? Now, when you do pie charts, is there the concept of, we might run into somebody who doesn't belong in the organization because they won't adopt the technology? Oh my goodness. The number one reason technology is not adopted is because of culture. It's not because the technology is bad. It's because the culture cannot move or shift or adopt to it. And that's usually really leadership at the forefront that has to change that culture in order to get that adoption. So, when we're talking about automation, we're really talking about a cultural shift in your organization so that people really can adopt the change. The number one thing that I see out there in the tech community is that there's a lot of great products, but not a lot of great teams to implement those great products. And part of it is that there's too many one-off products that do one thing. And so teams are inundated and overwhelmed by 17 different things that they need to log into just to do their job. And they don't want another tool, right? It's one of the reasons we built what we built, the toolbox, where there's one login for all things technology in the organization. And that helps, but there's still this notion of culture and leadership to adopt this stuff. But I want to speak directly to this notion that, automation is going to get rid of jobs, or you automated your business and increase your net by, firing people or whatever. It's about a cultural shift, right? It's about actual pie charts. And so if I saw somebody's pie chart and there's 40% of their time being used on things that I wasn't comfortable with, I'm not saying they were doing the wrong thing, but I'm just saying we have a person in the organization who we're paying, who's doing stuff that I don't want to pay for, and I'm not comfortable with that, payment for that exact thing. And that's done by just taking the pie chart and converting it to dollars. So let's say we pay the person $100,000 and you look at their pie chart and 40% of it is this thing, and you don't like that thing because you don't think it's worth spending, $40,000 a year on that thing. That's what we're talking about. So this whole thing is about throughput and changing the way people think, the way they approach their job, the tools they use, the processes they use, the procedures that they do, how they interact with the rest of the system. Your business is just a system. It might be an unarticulated system, but nonetheless a system, which is just a series of integrated parts. So how well do those parts integrate? How do they play together? Is there friction between the parts, etc.? It's like a manufacturing plant, right? Like the plant's there, but what's the throughput that the plant actually produces like this? How fast does the flywheel spin or put out products on that assembly line, right? You might have a great system. You might have all the right people. It's not the people that maybe is necessarily a problem in terms of how many people you have or even their skills, but the throughput of that system, how those parts work together, what they actually do, handing a project from here to there. Like those are the things that we improved. We went from 11% net to over 50% net. Was we automated like 19 different things. Our sales process was like 400% faster. Our proposal process was like 900% faster. We could literally write 9 proposals in the time it took to write one. So, there's real things there. And that didn't mean like we fired our proposal guy. We just improved the actual process because we looked at his pie chart and said, dude, you're spending 80% of your time writing proposals, right? And so we just made the proposal process faster. So, we have to be careful about this notion that like automation replaces people. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. That's just a weird fear that we've created in our minds. That's not real. It really isn't. And this is about like upgrading humanity, like moving humanity to things that humans shouldn't be doing anyway. It's the same thing that's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years, right? We eventually found that humans didn't have to like literally go like walk in cornfields forever because we could buy a machine called a combine that actually like got hay baled up so that like farms could work more efficiently. That didn't eliminate farmers. It just like made people who did super manual labor, stuff that humans shouldn't be doing anyway, they went and got different types of jobs, right? So this is about upgrading humanity. Same thing in your organization on a micro level. It's not about getting rid of people. It's certainly not about eliminating jobs. It's about upgrading all of your people to work on the things that are most effective, that produce the most output or throughput. On a macro level, we call it GDP. Inside of your organization, it's throughput.